So I am here with Ralf, who has been kind enough to put on these events that Rob and I were talking about. They've been absolutely amazing. Ralf, to start, could you just tell us a bit about yourself and your company, Inacta?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much for inviting me. My name is Ralf Glabischnig. I'm a software developer by heart with a little bit of an economic degree on top of it. I came to this boring town, Zug, in 2005. In 2005, there was pretty much only commodity business here, but it was not as exciting as it is today. In 2009, we founded Inacta as a consulting firm for digital transformation for banks and insurances, by accident in the year of Satoshi or in the year of Bitcoin, but totally not connected to that. But then we have been already here in Zug, and you need to know Zug has only 34,000 people living here in the city, or 120,000 in the canton, so quite small. So when something happens, you will feel that. And in 2013, we had some crazy guys coming over. So Vitalik from Ethereum, with Michael Lise and Niklas Nikolaisen, who founded Bitcoin Swiss, and guys like that. And we just opened up a business center here in Zug called the Lakeside Business Center. And then we recognized, hey, there are coming some strange guys asking for crypto and blockchain, and we decided in this Lakeside Business Center to create an area and call it Lakeside Crypto Lab. This was done in 2015. So, and in a few weeks, we had more than 30 blockchain companies in the Lakeside Crypto Lab, and we saw, oh, there's something interesting happening here. And then we have been early supporters. We haven't been the pioneers came, but we have been early supporters of the pioneers. So, and we figured out that an ecosystem needs three things. It needs infrastructure, which is physical infrastructure and regulatory infrastructure. It needs talent, and the talent came, so the people came here. We have top-class universities in Switzerland, so we could educate talent as well. And the third thing is capital, and then the ICO craziness came up, and from that moment on, it has been possible to raise capital also out of Switzerland in a bigger certain amount than usual. Not only early stage investments, but really, I mean, I remember the Tezos ICO, 240 million. That was big during that time. And then Switzerland started off with the Ethereum Foundation, and then other foundations came in, Cardano, Tezos, Web3 Foundation. And that was then a reason as well for the Hashgraph Association to say, hey, that's an interesting part here. I met Kamal Yousefi, I think the first time in 2015 when he was with EY. He was like a bit of competition because also consulting at this time. Then the guys came over to Swisscom Blockchain, and we founded the Crypto Valley Summit, or the Blockchain Summit Crypto Valley in the early days. And this was then also the first time when we had Hedera here. I think it was 2017 when Mance came here and presented the Hedera vision. And it was interesting because it was scalable, it was a bit different than the normal blockchains at this time, and we got interested in what's going on.
Well, let's get into that. So you went from Kamal being somewhat of a competitor to a collaborator. How did that journey take place?
Yeah, I remember when Kamal and EY came, and our former company, we sold to Deloitte in 2009. So, you know, big fours, but a bit of competition. And then consulting came into the place, and then the EY team moved to Swisscom Blockchain. And with Swisscom Blockchain, they have been more an infrastructure facilitate and less a competition of us. And we started to work together on several things, and then I heard, oh, Kamal is joining this Hedera board and what's going on there, and we had a closer look. And of course, we wanted to understand what are the decentralized ledger technologies out there, and what is going to be the next big thing at the end of the day.
And you decided Hedera might be one of those opportunities. So now, from the conversations we've had and from some of those side events that we were talking about, it has become clear that you're working on one of those legs, bringing capital into the ecosystem. Can you explain that a bit, how you're bringing capital in, and specifically why that capital is looking for a home in the Hedera ecosystem?
Look, Kamal and I, we had a common vision, and we met often on the way between Switzerland and the Middle East.
Okay.
I traveled the first time 1998 to Dubai, and I like this story because at this time they built the internet city and the media city, and I was wondering who's going to use that. And I came back 2 years later, and IBM, Microsoft, Oracle, Siebel, everyone was there, and they recognized the first time they are building, and the people will come. And then I traveled back and forth between Europe and Dubai or the Middle East, and I recognized at this time, then 2015, 2016, 2017, the USA has been a bit unfriendly in regulation at this time, and we tried to see how can we scale. And in Switzerland, the setups for ICOs and for foundations was very good, but later stage capital was not here. So we took the opportunity in the Middle East, Abu Dhabi, today the capital of capital. Today, I think $1.6 trillion in sovereign wealth, that we need this capital. We need to get into the bigger topics at the end of the day. And that was the common vision of Kamal and me that, let's say it, the ATM of the world at the moment is in the Middle East. And then we said, okay, how can we tap into that? How can we get growth capital? How can we make projects so interesting that we come to a Series B, Series C, and we need not the 2 million, not the 5 million, we need the 50 million. And there, we're still working on it, but I think that's important. We need this scale capital. We need to grow the things at the end of the day.
What use cases are the entities that are bringing capital in out of the Middle East? Which use cases are they most interested in? Which startups are having the most success?
Look, at the moment, our full industry is mostly around finance. We see in Switzerland more than 40 banks already are offering Bitcoin custody. This is probably at the moment still more than the rest of the world together. We see worldwide exchanges, of course. I mean, we helped to open up Binance in the UAE. In DMCC, they opened up the first tech company in 2021, and CZ hired 700 people in 1 year. Just a few weeks ago, Abu Dhabi announced that they're investing $2 billion into Binance. So the biggest investment in an exchange, which has happened till now. In Switzerland, we have players like Bitcoin Swiss, like Signum, like SEBA, Mina Bank, so the very regulated businesses. They started off with a 100 million investment at 2 banks. So those projects attracted capital. But now it's important that we get over this barrier. And one reason for founding the Green Block and the sustainability thing is saying, hey, we need use cases which are not only financial. Sure. We need use cases in the sovereign identity space. We need use cases in the carbon credit space, the carbon footprint space, where we really can make a difference with this technology at the end of the day. Decentralized ecosystems for power plants, for energy production. And there are a lot of interesting things going on. But if we are very honest, this is all still quite early stage.
Sure.
There's a way to go. And till now, I mean, everyone knows stablecoins is working out quite well.
First killer use case,
our friends of Hedera, I mean, making 100 million of profit per head, or 13.8 billion last year. That's amazing. But this is not the democratization of capital we have been hoping for. This is not broad enough till now, let's put it like that. But it's an exciting way to go.
Yeah, you mentioned regenerative finance, carbon credits, things like that, and I think that's one place where Hedera, being the greenest DLT on earth, certainly has a leg up, and the infrastructure that's being put in place around it with things like the Guardian are certainly second to none. I don't talk to the capital allocators. I talk to the startups. So if you had a suggestion for teams that are building in the space that have already had success as far as bringing their product to market, but not necessarily attracting that capital, what would your suggestion be for them?
Look, I'm looking specifically into B2B use cases.
Okay.
And I believe as a startup, you need to find early your big partner to scale. Only 200 meters from here is one of the 3 global headquarters of Siemens. So Siemens is a very interesting company, 240,000 people working there. Scale, go-to-market, everything is there. Our target is to bring the Hedera ecosystem and the Guardian into Siemens. Then you generate revenue, you generate ARR, and then we're talking about easier funding at the end of the day. Another global player in Zug is Glencore, the biggest commodity trading house in the world. So commodity trading is quite intransparent today, in some areas inefficient. Putting this on a blockchain, including the money stream. So on one side you have the logistics, you have the stream of the asset or of the commodity, and on the other side you have the stream of the money in the other direction. That's a perfect use case.
Of course.
But it needs first that the process needs to be digital. As long as you work with paper and so on, it's going to be difficult to put it on a blockchain. So, and that's the reason why we say, okay, we are still digital transformation consultants for the big corporates, and we try to identify the right startups to bring them to the big corporates, to make the big corporates faster, really digital, and to think the digital process first. But I believe it might be a little bit difficult for startups if you're not having the right access, the right partners to really scale up when it's in the real world use case. When you want to do real world use case like real estate tokenization and digitalization, you need $1 billion asset to do that. If you start with a 2 million house, it's a nice use case, but it's not going to scale at the end of the day.
So we talked about the entities, the startups that have the most success at attracting capital, but personally, what is your favorite use case in DLT in general or Hedera more specifically?
So in DLT in general, it's still the stablecoin.
Okay.
Yeah, because I believe, and I'm now fighting a bit for a strong Swiss stablecoin.
We saw that.
Because, 20% of the wealth worldwide is in Swiss franc. And if you look into that size, I mean, Switzerland has only 9 million people from 8 billion people, but 20% is in Swiss franc.
It's incredible.
But we are totally not relevant in the stablecoin world. Totally not relevant. Even the euro is not relevant in the stablecoin world. At the moment, we have one big thing. This is the US dollar stablecoin, Tether Circle, and then some around that. And then we have a bit of gold stablecoins. But other currencies are not relevant. And I hope for more decentralization. For this, we need more options, and we need also more Swiss stablecoins and similar things. Now, looking into the Hedera ecosystem, I really like the setup of Hedera with the governing council, and from the beginning adding all the big corporates to this ecosystem, because this is exactly our mindset as well. We are not believing only in the startup which will disrupt an industry alone. We believe we need the big corporates, and we need to bring the adoption to the big corporates. And the Guardian is a very nice piece to bring adoption to the next level. But we need more of these building blocks like the Guardian to be faster. And this building block should be projects which are fitting closely together. When you want to tokenize something, you need the custody. We're building now different custody service providers which are holding also Hedera tokens at the end of the day. So you need the infrastructure, you need the wallets, you need the DeFi ecosystem. And this is a joint growing.
Sure.
And a joint adoption. And this is not a centralized approach, it's a decentralized approach, and I like that.
So at the Catch Forum, which we had this past Monday, one of your former top politicians was there that at a fairly young age for a politician has moved from politics into the stablecoin space. Is that where you're mainly focusing her company as far as the stablecoins, or are you also welcoming entities like Circle to bring the USDC version of a stable coin to the Swiss franc?
Look, for me, it's not so important which company it is. I mean, the Tether guys are very active in Switzerland. Okay. They built some stuff in Lugano up. And then people told me, hey, Ralf, this is competition to Zug. That's Lugano. It's totally wrong. I'm happy when anything in Switzerland is happening because 9 million, this is like a bigger city. In China, a smaller city. So this 9 million people, when Libra went to Geneva, we said it's the crypto valley. The crypto valley, Zug is the heart, but the crypto valley is from Liechtenstein to Geneva, from Lugano to Basel. Everywhere we have these things. And we are looking into scale of stablecoins. And for that, we need to join forces. We can, for example, suggest every foundation in Switzerland put some percentage of your treasury in it. I mean, a stablecoin needs to get $1 billion and then it gets relevant.
Sure.
When you start with 20 million or 50 million, it's just a global game. You're not relevant at the end of the day. So, of course, Pascal Bruderer, the politician you mean, she does a great job in that. But we're really looking in how can we scale that. I just had an informal meeting with the Swiss National Bank 2 days ago, or with one employee of the Swiss National Bank. And there's a lot going on, talking about wholesale CBDC, but I'm a little bit more decentralized and I want a retail product. My vision is when you're able to save $100 in South America, today sometimes you're not able even to change your local money into US dollar because there are limitations.
Sure.
But when you then can decide and say, hey, I have $100, I put $20 in the US dollar stablecoin, I bet $30 in the Swiss stablecoin, and $50 I have in the gold stablecoin. That's freedom. That's financial freedom on a low level, basically. And when we get this done, we are already a big step forward.
Makes perfect sense. So as soon as I walked into your space, I looked at this and I said, this feels crypto.
Yeah.
Can you tell? Is there a story behind this wall?
Look, it's a story behind this room where we are right now.
Okay.
This room was full with instruments to the top. So they did measurements here, thermal measures and so on. And when we saw this space, and we have other spaces next to it, there's the Chat Club, very famous, next to us. There's the CV Labs a little bit further with 130 blockchain startups. Then we said, this should be our innovation space. We call this the Inacta Innovation Lab. We have 40 software developers sitting here and building for us interesting products. Yeah. We are building wallets, we are building AI solutions, we are building tokenization solutions, we are building payment solutions, and we're building classic digitalization solutions for banks and insurances. Because look, these things will grow together. At the end of the day, blockchain and DLT will be a smaller part in every IT solution. That's my long-term vision. Yeah. You will think, okay, I need to transfer data, how can we do that? And hopefully we use public DLT infrastructure and we come away from these private chains, which we saw 7-8 years ago, probably.
I think that's going to be the case. Is there anything else you'd like to pass on before we let you go here today?
Look, I'm super excited that the Hashgraph Group or Hedera decided to have the Hashgraph Group and the Hashgraph Association in Switzerland, because we have in between 1,200 companies in the blockchain space in Switzerland. We have more than 6,000 people working full-time in that space. For this small Switzerland, it's very relevant. We have a government being behind us. We have the early support, and specifically with the foundation model and with the association model, we have something that's longer lasting than 4 years until the next voting period. Because the most important thing when you do something on an entrepreneurial level is you want to have a stable environment which gives you a planning horizon for the next 10, 20 years. And we are building now basic infrastructure in a lot of industries. And for that, Switzerland is the perfect place to be the home. But we are not having any local market which is relevant. Payments in Switzerland is solved. Store your value in Switzerland is solved. Trust in Switzerland is solved. It's interesting to expand from here, like from here to Marrakesh, to Africa, from here to the Middle East, to Asia, India. That's super interesting, that's super exciting. So we build technology here, but we bring it to emerging markets, we bring it to the billion of people who are not as lucky as we are to have 5 credit cards, 2 bank accounts, and trust in all the players in the industry.
Well, that is the hope for DLT, is it's going to unlock the economic potential of billions around the world that's going to uplift us all. So I do have to say that you have been a fantastic host for Hedera coming here. Not only is the Hashgraph Association here, but the Hedera Foundation, which just rebranded, is coming over this way as well. So obviously it's a great place to be, but I appreciate you giving us some time today and supporting the Hedera ecosystem.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to have you here. And whoever from the Hedera ecosystem wants to visit us, we always have open doors and looking to welcome everyone.